All right. So we're gonna have to wait until we build up an audience. But for the most part, welcome, 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 everyone. Namaste. This is Dr. Shreya Tayen, and I do have three guest speakers. I have Chef Lucy Liu that's with us, and it is her birthday. So please, everyone that joins and come in and that are already here, let's just give her a warm happy birthday.
Happy
Happy
birthday, yo.
birthday.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Next, we have Lord Jules, the High Priestess, that is here with us. And then we also have JBae that is here, or Miss Bay that is here with us. So we're going to have an open panel. Please, I hope you have already prepared. We've had to poster up your questions. And if not, we're good at impromptuing anyway. So please type your questions in the comment section. And I do want to say that I'm not doing any personal readings. No one is doing any psychic readings on this panel. This is just about high consciousness, raising your vibration, and talking about what's going on in the world and whatever conversation you bring. Hi, welcome, Dana.
Hello, what up? What up?
Hello.
So, by the way, too, like this is like my first time, right? I'm using this here StreamYard.
Platform.
So yeah, so don't mind me if I'm like looking mad unprofessional until
Same
I get the
here.
hang of
Same here.
things.
That's all right.
So but I can see everyone's comments, so I'm able to see people's questions and all that. But yep, what
Yep.
up? What up? What up?
Oh, really?
I can't see
I'm
that.
not. I don't see anything.
All right, so if you guys are on your phones, all right, so I'm gonna give it like a tutorial, right?
Okay.
So if you guys are on the phones, I
Oh,
don't
I see
know.
it now. I see it now.
Yeah, where it says chat on the
Yeah.
bottom.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That
I
was like a little crash course, little
Mm-hmm.
debriefer.
Right.
All right. So there are more people that are joining. I just want to make sure I go over this caveat just one more time that this is just an open question panel. There are no psychic readings. So we're not going to be looking into your future today or tonight.
Mm-hmm.
no, not no, none of that. We're just gonna have regular conversations about what's going on in the world and whether it's relationships, family, friends, and stuff like that.
Right.
So where y'all questions at, y'all?
Whose questions? My
Like, did
questions?
anyone
Our
have like
questions?
any questions that they wanted to like bring up?
Yeah, this
Right.
is an open panel.
All
Remember on
right.
the
Well.
poster we said bring your questions.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, Lucy, you can start. It's your birthday, yo.
It's
Oh
your
wow.
birthday. It's your birthday. Okay, we got a question from Dana. What do you think New Earth will be like?
Ooh,
Lucy,
that's
Liu, you want to start us off?
Mm-hmm.
What I think New Earth would be like. Well, that's really hard to say because well, I mean planet Earth is already considered as a newer planet, as a young planet. If you follow astrology and the history of the Earth and the universe and galaxies, Earth is considered fairly new. So I feel like it's like a recycling of everything that we've already experienced before. And those who have um ascended spiritually, if you like to say that, into a new consciousness, will have the ability to be in this new earth and take all the lessons of this earth and carry it on. So like we've grown and known so much about this earth, and history tend to repeat itself on this planet already. So if we take that knowledge that we have and create a society where we actually learn from lessons, because humans have a tendency not to learn lessons, they just repeat it over again and are shocked each and every time it happens. So this will be a transition to a place where we are actually learning our lessons and are practicing what we've learned. That's what I think.
Shout out. Yep, I'm on
Yeah.
that. I'm with that, yo. Cause I make sure, yo. I was talking to someone not too long ago about that. Like, cause we came from higher consciousness, and we decided to, to fall. We fall from higher consciousness to learn, right? So I'm
We're
like,
all
whatever.
fallen angels.
Right.
Right, like
Yeah.
like just because like we came from a place where everything was perfect, basically, but either because it was too perfect, it was too boring. Like we're like, all right, well, let's get into, let's see what's like being ignorant. you know, let's go through all these. Let's struggle without our, with limit. Let's go see what's like being limited. In struggle and all that, and in experience. And I said that, like after this, I never want to go through that again. I'll stay in that perfect paradise where we came from before. Shoot, I learned my lesson. If anything, I don't want to come back down here like that. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm with Lucy on what she said.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Miss J.
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
Um, it's very similar to what Luke said. It depends on what the human race does and all that. I agree with what you said. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I don't know how to elaborate more on it. She
Yeah,
said
exactly.
how I
No,
feel about
Mm-hmm.
yep,
it.
that's
Mm-hmm.
good. Okay, so my take on it is that we are already shifting, I would say, into the new earth. The new earth is already here,
Mm-hmm.
and our consciousness is constantly shifting. And with each open portal, I feel like we are gaining momentum and we're getting closer and closer to our authentic selves.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
We are tapping into higher powers. We are tapping into our gifts and our talents that we have personally hidden when we came in through the veil of amnesia. We
Mm-hmm.
are awakening, and the whole world as a whole collectively is awakening. So we're here. This is it. This is what it looks like. And
Mm-hmm.
this is just only like the tipping scale. We haven't even broke the surface yet.
Right.
I feel like we're living in two worlds. In
Mm-hmm.
in the one world where you have people who are in that new consciousness, who are rising to that new consciousness,
Mm-hmm.
and then those people who are still in a
Yeah.
subdued
Right.
state, who are
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
still
Right.
who are basically still asleep. And those people who are in that state, I feel like they're the dangerous ones,
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
because they're the ones who are kicking and screaming when it comes to change.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And they're the ones who are so they're against anything that's new. And people who, when they like human nature, when we don't understand something, we tend to be afraid of it. And instead of learning about it, we want to destroy it before we even know what it can do, because we
Yeah.
are automatically assume that they're a danger to us, or they're the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
So their first reaction is to destroy whatever it is. So you have a group of people who are like, what has been normalized on this earth is not okay anymore, and we are moving past that, and we're growing from that. And you have people who are still resistant to it, and those
Mm-hmm.
resistant voices are so loud because there are more of them, because there's only going to be a small amount of people who ascend to a higher mind frame. It's going to be a
Mm-hmm.
few of us. So those who are still in that lower state, they are more than us. Their voices are louder,
Mm-hmm.
and and because of that, they're more dangerous. And people who, how should I say this, when with people who have that fear will run past everybody to try to get the narrative in front of everyone. Just like how they call things like fake news and whatever. Before they even know what's going on, they already put out a certain narrative so everybody could be on their side.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are not, if you don't think for yourself, it's easy for you to fall into that. Like, people don't use logic and common sense. They just kind of be like, oh, well, this person is saying this, so he must be right. I trust this person to tell me these things, so they must be right, without actually looking into it themselves. So that's why we keep going in the same cycle over and over, because there are always going to be people who are the sheep.
Right.
And they're afraid.
Not to cut you off.
I call that blind faith, when you just believe what you believe and you have not investigated, because this is the way that we have been raised. Society has groomed us from birth.
Yeah.
Yeah. What were you going to go ahead and say, Jules?
No, I was going to say that, at the same time, like, those who basically decides to stay on a low vibration, that's their choice too. Just like how we made our choice that, we're gonna rise above it. So, we can't like really save everybody to raise everyone's vibration. So it's their choice at the end of the day,
Because it's easy to stay still, because you don't have to do any work. Things are the way they are, so you don't have to do any sort of mental acrobatics, no mental labor, no nothing. I don't have to do anything, so I'm gonna choose the easiest route, no matter how against their better, like against their best interest it is. No matter how much it is, it's just easier to just not do anything.
That is true.
Really easy.
Because most people want to fit in. They don't want to go against the grain. So what is considered normal is what everybody is doing, but it really isn't normal.
Right.
It's just what they have been conditioned to do. It's conditioning.
Yeah. And indoctrination is real.
It is very real, and it has been browbeat to the death with a lot of us. When we try to go against it, we're called conspiracy theorists.
Yes.
Or extremists.
Or even crazy. For some of our friends and families that are around. And many of us, we go into isolation or hermit mode because, one, we can't even explain what's happening, and trying to explain it to someone else that really is not on the journey really makes us look like we're out there.
Right.
Because you can't relate to anybody. You no longer relate to people anymore. So it's like you feel alone until you meet some of your mutuals where you're like, okay, well, I feel validated now to continue on my path.
Thank God for our tribe, because if it wasn't for our spiritual tribe, our spiritual team, it would be even that more complex and even that more complicated. We really, truly are living in the signs of the times where, the Bible prophesied about this grand awakening called Armageddon. People thought that it would be catastrophic, but it is. It is a death to ego.
Yeah.
It truly is a death to the old constructs and society as we know it. Nothing is the same since COVID. Everything has changed. And it will not go back to the way that it was, but I feel that it will be better.
Right.
It's always,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was about to say, it's always darkest before the dawn.
People have realized that the structures of capitalism is that it has to be dismantled, because we now realize that we all could work from home. We don't have to go to a building every day and commute and waste gas and spend time away from our family in order to bring in a paycheck. We all know that now. We all know that companies can pay you livable wages. They just choose not to. They would rather get their yearly bonuses and their Christmas funds, but instead of paying people livable wages. We now know that pharmaceuticals are affordable, but the people who hold the powers, uh, um, what do they call those, lobbyists?
Mm-hmm.
The Congress people are in the pockets of lobbyists and whatever. They it's all corruption. We now know this. We were just thinking, oh, this is just how things are. We're just gonna have to go with the flow and whatever. But
Right.
there are systems in place to make sure that you don't have a good life, that you are
Mm-hmm.
dependent on the government, that you are dependent on a measly paycheck to live hand in mouth, paycheck to paycheck, to always be on edge constantly at any given moment. You don't work for a week and you are that much closer to being homeless. We
Right.
know that type of stuff needs to be dismantled, because they have a way to make everybody live decently. They just choose not to, and we're no longer going to stand for it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, because those that are in power are in greed for more power. And
Exactly.
that's
And
the name
that's
of the game is if you keep other people down, that's how you get ahead, you see.
Mm-hmm.
And that is so true. The reason why things are the way that they are is because there's not enough people that are standing up for their rights.
Mm-hmm.
It's
It is
really
your
hard.
birthright to be rich. It is your birthright to be abundant. It is your birthright to be healthy and whole. Like you said, there has been so much capitalism when it comes to, medical, um, like medicine and things of that nature. But a lot of people are awakening to how things were originally, where our people, indigenous people, ate off of the land. That
right.
is how we get our healing. We get our healing from fruits and herbs and vegetation from the earth, because the earth is more bountiful and it produces at a much more super accelerated rate our medicine. Our food is our medicine.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And we're waking up to that consciousness. And a lot of people talk about veganism. I don't like labels, you guys, but I would say that veganism is as close as possible to what most people should do. But I will also say, on that flip side of it as well, I've known people that have thrived and strive with eating meat and also eating uh, vegetable products. But it's everybody's body is different, and you have to personally tap in and listen to your own body.
It's
I'm not
about
going to
balance.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not gonna knock either one, because I remember there was a time that I was sick and I was still eating meat, but I was taking herbs, and eradicated a health disease and turned my health around, and I still was eating meat. But now that I have raised my consciousness and I've gotten into higher consciousness, I can't eat meat anymore. My body rejects it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about the whole the meat eating thing, I mean, if you want to go back to the Bible and whatever, God put these animals for us to use them, to cultivate them, to take care of them and whatever, and use them as a resource. But with modern technology, with overpopulation of this earth, we have to feed so many people so quickly, and it's not everybody on earth, because only a small portion of people can afford to have access to certain foods. So they've used science to artificially or genetically modify foods to cause them to no longer be good for us, because they it doesn't go with our DNA. So we have
Hmm.
an adverse reaction to meat because of what they've done to animals.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's
Hmm.
all facts. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
For real, all facts right there. That is so
Mm-hmm.
true. And then, how they inject them with the steroids. And so
Mm-hmm.
those that eat meat, if you look at I can tell as a doctor a person without even them telling me that they eat meat or not, because you tend to be overweight because of these steroids. If anyone takes steroids for asthma, for whatever situation, they're usually overweight. Why? Because steroids is what is causing them to gain weight, because it changes your molecular structure and it also produces excessive hormones.
Hmm.
Okay.
It's the
So,
hormones. Yep. Hmm.
yep. So that is it's the hormones that is in the meat that is causing for people to have excessive weight. And
Mm-hmm.
if you see someone who's more lean, then you would know that they probably are not a meat eater,
Mm-hmm.
because they are taking in vegetation, whether they're a vegetarian or they're doing it through a vegan diet?
We have no control of our food whatsoever. We have no idea where our food comes from. We are in a place where we create lawns before we create gardens, and like we just literally have no idea what we eat. We don't know. You go to the grocery store, you see a beautiful apple, but that beautiful apple is filled with chemicals.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really difficult for you to even say, I'm going to be vegan, I'm going to be vegetarian, I'm going to do this, because everything is covered in chemicals. They mistreat the animals. They give them a poor diet like cows. They'll make them eat grain. They'll make them eat corn. They can't digest corn, and it causes them to have infections. And then they have to give them antibiotics, and then we end up ingesting these antibiotics. Same with the chickens. Same with the pigs. Like, they would even cannibalize the animals, make the dead ones, make the live one eat the dead ones. So we don't know what we are consuming. They put these gases on our food because of the pesticides on the plants. They come from different countries and they're traveling over here, and they gas them trying to preserve them so they could get to our tables. So we have no real access to good food because we don't control any of it. Especially if it's like places like Florida who control the citrus production. If you try to have your own little citrus tree in your own garden, they will destroy it. They will destroy it. So you have no access. You can't grow your own food. Because that takes away, that is because it's all because of capitalism. If you can grow your own food, then what about us? How are we going to make money off of you if you can make your own food?
Right.
Exactly. That is so true. Unless you're producing your own food and growing your own food, you're pretty much like I tell everyone, because everyone was talking about, the jab changing your DNA. They've already been doing that through our food years ago. So not, I'm not condoning it. I'm really, honestly, I'm a naturopath, so I'm for God. Anything that you can do natural first, I'm for, but you do also have medical advancements for those that need that as well. So I just feel that our food as a whole, I'm gonna go back to Dana. Dana asked, what do I feel about meat? What do we think about eating meat? What I think about eating meat is the same way I think about eating fruits and vegetables and everything else. I feel that we have to just be conscious and do what works for our own body and listen to our own body.
As a balance.
It's a balance. Because I know people that are very spiritual that eat meat.
Yeah.
And then I know people that are very spiritual who don't.
Moderation is very important as well.
Yeah.
And it's just like what Tyann says too. Just definitely, like, you have to learn how to be in tune and listen to your body too. That's the main thing. That's the main thing. If you eat because if you try to eat what everyone else is eating, that doesn't mean you can eat it. If your body's like is reacting a way negative, that means like, yo, chill out with it. Eat something else.
And your body tells you. We just don't listen to our body. Like, if you just have a headache that you don't know where it came from, it could be because of you're missing a certain vitamins, or you are not drinking enough water, or what. Like, your body tells you what's wrong, because pain is not natural.
No.
Right.
Pain is not natural. So when you do feel pain, it's your body telling you that is something wrong. But we live in a world where pain is basically like, oh, you just push through it, you ignore it until it's too late. Until it's too late. And I find myself doing that too. Like, you have a headache and you just take an Advil or whatever to just numb those symptoms instead of addressing it until it gets worse, and next thing you know, you're in the hospital. But your body already told you like something's wrong.
Right.
Exactly. And the way that, the creator created our bodies is your body is a self-healing mechanism. That is what it does. Okay. And when we have, like you said, the pains and the dis-ease, that's the reason why the disease is called dis-ease, because it's not comfortable. It's supposed to make you dig and wonder, what is the root cause? What is causing me to have this headache? Okay, 10 times out of 11, when most people suffer from headaches all the time, it is because they're dehydrated. That's the first thing that I learned when I went to doctor school. we are not properly hydrating our bodies. Our bodies are dehydrated, which also causes constipation. We are supposed to, every single time we eat, we are supposed to eliminate. So if you're eating the standard diet, the standard American diet, that's 3 times a day. You're supposed to
Right.
be pooping 3 times a day, but most of us aren't. Most of us are pooping either every other day or 3 times a week. And
Right.
that means that your colon is dry. And that
Hmm.
means
Clogged
that
up.
you're carrying around petrification, right? Because if you're not releasing, you're building up. And that's also causing havoc and wreaking havoc in your gut, because your gut really is your immune system. Your first line of defense is in your stomach, in your gut. And so when we're not properly, masticating our food, chewing our meat, and that's what most of us do not do. We do not chew our food to a mush. You're
Right.
supposed to chew food to a
Right.
mush
Swallowing so
and
fast.
then swallow. We
I
just like
heard,
to,
I read you have to masticate your food 100 times, chew
you
a
are.
100 times before you swallow. But it's like,
Yep.
It's hard.
ew,
And
ew.
I had to learn that at the beginning of becoming a naturopath. It was very difficult transitioning from just being just a regular person into a naturopathic doctor, because it's like everything had to change. My whole life changed. And it was a mental thing, you guys. Most people think that naturopaths, oh, they're just regular, herb doctors and herbalists. No, we really truly have to change our lifestyles, because one, we have to practice what we teach.
Right.
And two, how can I help you when I'm ill and I'm suffering from the same things that some of you guys are suffering from, but I'm trying to tell you how to live your lifestyle. So when I had to learn how to eat food, it also taught me how to eat less. Because when you are truly masticating your food and breaking your food down, all of that chewing, you really do not eat large portions. You tend to cut back down and eat small portions. And now, since I've been a doctor, a naturopath for years now, I only eat once a day. It's rare that I eat twice a day, just because I'm super busy, for one, and two, I'm doing a lot of liquids, just like I'm doing now with the coconut water. I drink more liquids, and I intake more liquids now than I do actual solid food. And I've found for me that works. But see, again, that may not work for everyone. Just like we were talking about on our other broadcast with Chef Lucy Lou, we were talking about sea moss. Now, what is being touted for everyone to take right now? Sea moss.
Same
But
on.
Right.
take sea
That
moss.
trend, went off like it is a huge trend right now,
Hmm.
Yeah,
and I'm
but
allergic to it.
exactly. Who would have known that, something that is being touted as like a panacea, everybody, if you're having arthritis pain, take sea moss. If you have, HIV, take sea moss. Like, everybody has been saying sea moss, sea moss, sea moss. Hey, if you broke your leg, take sea moss. That's
Right.
not, you know what I'm saying? That is not logical for everyone to take it, because she found out, for her it doesn't work.
Right.
It causes her to have athletic reflex, which is an allergic reaction.
Hmm.
So again, part of being conscious is knowing what works for you.
Right.
But when people find something, even though all these things were already here, they're natural to the planet, it's already been here, but
Mhm.
people will rediscover certain things and
Yeah.
they will immediately capitalize on it. So now you have these new trends every so often, every year. I feel like every year or 2 years we have this new trend where people want to jump on this bandwagon of this new healthy kick, this new diet, this new fad, and it
Yep.
is all temporary because they don't actually teach people how to moderate and balance and live. It's just do this and you're gonna be great, and it's not
Right.
true.
Yeah. I remember they had the Atkins diet.
Right.
You ate majority protein, and then people
Yeah.
were getting sick eventually. And then the vegetarianism, and then you had the raw foodists. Remember, it was the raw food before the
Yeah.
veganism, and then, oh, no, no, no,
Hmm.
no, raw food, that's not really good. So then they came up with paleo. Then they came up
Paleo diet.
with keto.
Hmm.
Yeah, and like you said, it will never stop. It's going to keep on going. So that's why I said again, I don't like labels. I just try to eat as healthy as possible as I can for myself. I know what works. I listen to my body, and that's how I use that as a yardstick of what I should eat.
You know,
Right.
I always talk about I want to know where things come from, where it started, the beginning. So I have come to realize that all of these fads come from white people going to other countries. They'll go to India, they'll go to like the deep terrains or into the Amazon and find indigenous people in all different corners of the world and see the way they eat, and they'll take that and bring it back to America, and then they repackage it and make it into this new thing, and then now it's a new fad, it's a new trend.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they do. That's where it
Yeah.
comes from. That's where
Well,
they would go on their little excavations. We're going to go to this country and do humanitarian work and whatever. They just take what they see from indigenous people,
yeah.
repackage it, bring it here, and now we have a new trend.
Right.
Exactly. And also too, Lucy, you're correct on that. The Europeans, our whole American diet is consistent of other cultures' food. We don't have our own way of eating. Okay. And Dana has a question, you guys. Sorry. I pinned it. Is there a link to allergies and where you originate from, and where you originate or where they originate from? Okay, I got you. I can answer that real quick. Yes. All allergies, because I do allergy testing for my clients, are linked to a vitamin deficiency.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're, case in point, if you're allergic to shellfish, you have a deficiency in magnesium.
Mm.
That's just one example. Okay. Most people I found out that are allergic to eggs are lacking a zinc deficiency. So every allergy, because it's not normal that God would create something that you would be allergic to. It just doesn't make sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in my study, in my practice, I find that most people that have some type of allergy to food, it is because they are already lacking a deficiency, a vitamin deficiency in their diet.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it's linked to.
Well, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Me too.
Mhm.
Very.
Yeah, so I like to know where things originate from. And it also like when people do that, when they go out to these different countries and they, learn about what the indigenous people are doing there and bring it here, it really messes up those indigenous people, their way of living, because you're taking their source of food and you're shipping their source of food over to the US, like the quinoa fad.
Mhm.
Everybody's eating quinoa. The indigenous people who live off the quinoa are now losing their main source of food because capitalism says, well, Americans need this. We need to bring it here because this is where the money's at, and we packaged it in a way to make it seem like this is the new thing that we need to do, the new fun thing where we're eating quinoa, but the people who needed it can no longer afford to eat what's indigenous to them, what's native to them.
Wow. Wow. That goes kind of like in harmony with what Dana said, that, you know, it's because of their own agendas why they're going around these different countries and adapting these different cultures and way of eating so they can come back and capitalize on it.
Right.
It's continuous colonization, continuously. It doesn't stop. Because they have to find something new to make money. So
Yeah.
they're continuously having to search something new because Americans are not educated at all. Like, we're seriously not educated people. So they constantly have to find something and say it's new because we don't know. So
Hmm.
it's new to us.
Mm-hmm.
They
That's
package
the
it,
point.
and now we're spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars on something that was just natural for them, that they had every day for thousands of years, and then we destroyed it all for money.
Mhm. I just found out how to properly cook quinoa. I did not know that you have to soak it first and
Yeah.
then cook it like rice.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's another thing. Like you said, they introduce things to us, but they don't tell us how to properly prepare it.
Right.
So it's like all this time I've been making quinoa and I'm just now finding out I was making it wrong. So
Why
now
it was still crunchy?
no, it turned out pretty okay, but it was just like, okay, now that I soak it though, it's more fluffier.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, okay, all right, I can see the difference now. So yeah, it is true. We kind of like, it to be ignorant means to not know. So we
Right.
do kind of walk in blind faith. We do walk in ignorance and we don't really know and we just go with the status quo. And so we're finding ourselves doing things just because we're told it's the best thing for us to do. And sometimes it's not, especially when we don't know how to properly execute on it.
But we should know this, because the indigenous people are pissed. They're so angry. They don't get any credit for their culture. All the money that is being made off of their back stays at the top and they never receive it. So they're pissed. Rightfully so. You can't take someone's culture and then decide that it's yours now, and you're making money off of people's culture. It's wrong.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And Dana said, I was thinking that there was a link to the star system that we originated from. Thanks for answering. Absolutely. Like the Pleiadians, majority of the Native Americans, you can tell that they're Pleiadians because they have high cheekbones. Okay. The Arcturians, they have more of a round face. You see, when you start awakening and you start learning about different beings and different star systems and things of that nature, you'll start to see a pattern. We were talking about this. Remember, Lucy Lou, we were talking about how we were talking about ethnicity.
Yeah.
And remember, I said, well, I could tell a Jew because they usually have broad nose,
Right.
whatever. Can we get into that? Can we kind of like revisit that today?
Yeah,
Or tonight?
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I feel like we give ourselves ethnicities. That is something that is man-made.
Yep.
And let's go back to the Bible. You know how when the story in the Bible where they were building the Tower of Babel and they were trying to reach to God, and he didn't like that, so he made everybody speak different languages and everybody split up into different nations, and then they all labeled themselves different things. Like that was a man-made thing, them labeling themselves different things. So us having these nationalities, it confuses us because a lot of us look exactly the same. I'm Haitian, this person could be Jamaican, but we look exactly alike, but we label ourselves differently, but we are the same people. We are the same people, and it's colonization that caused us to have these ethnicities.
Yeah.
The only difference between us is where the slave ship stopped.
Exactly.
That
is so true. I was listening to Baba Kaba last night. I've never heard of this guy until last night. And he was talking about how the Europeans have cut us off from our roots, making us think that we only originated from Africa when some of our indigenous people were the Native Americans. And that is only to keep us from our birthrights, to keep us from what is rightfully owned to us, because a lot of us have roots both places. And see, again, it goes back to self knowledge. It goes back to research. It goes back to education. They bank, and when I say they, I just say they in general, the powers that be, they bank on us not tapping into that information.
That's how you control people.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's always good to broaden your horizons and to, like you said, it is very important. And as you should always know the origin of something, where something came from, because
Mhm.
that's where the truth is. That's where the truth lies.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why, I'm sorry, that is why I can't subscribe to religion,
Yep.
because we are constantly being told to never question God, never ask questions, because that is a form of sin. But it's like, in my mind, it's like, why did God give me the ability to think critically and logically, and to have the ability to be cognizant enough to ask questions if I can't? If in asking questions mean that you have to be accountable for whatever is happening. Why are we going through this? Somebody's accountable, should be held accountable for why things happen the way they are. And because accountability forces you to make a change to what is wrong. And they don't want you to get to that point. They
Mhm.
don't want you to get to that point because they prefer you to be in this submissive mental state, because they want to keep you enslaved or asleep. So asking questions is always going to be a no-no.
That is so true. That is so, 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 so true. Because if you don't ask the questions, you will never get the answers.
You
Right.
notice when there's like high profile stuff going on, when there's real shady stuff going on, and people start asking questions and they disappear, and then it becomes this whole conspiracy thing. Like, asking questions literally cause people to lose their lives, because the powers to be don't want the truth to come out, because then now they have to be held accountable, because they don't want us to know how powerful we are, that we're so powerful we can dismantle them. They don't want you to get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
So whoever is making everybody have that realization, they disappear, and you don't hear from them ever again, because we have to shut that down real quick, because we're gonna lose our place. That's just what I think.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Dana said, does our soul come with its own DNA?
Mm-hmm.
Someone want to answer that?
I wouldn't know that answer. I wouldn't. That is
My
interesting. Do our soul come with its
Yeah.
my
DNA?
my answer would be yes to that.
Yes, correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, our soul has its own separate DNA, and I would like to elaborate on that, if you're not going to elaborate on that, Jules.
No, go ahead. I'll let you elaborate.
All
But the
right.
answer is yes, though.
Okay. So here is the thing. The soul DNA is the soul's memory. And in the soul DNA, it carries with it everything about you from each lifetime. Okay. This is where most of us have access to knowing what is in the DNA by decoding it through the Akashic records. Okay. So the soul, sometimes when you're talking to someone, you might have met that person for the very first time. And you're like, man, this person, it seems like I've known this person before. That
Mhm.
is because the soul has already recorded in its DNA your meeting, the time you met, how many times you met,
Mm-hmm.
because chances are, if you feel that strong of a magnetism, it was more than once, right?
Yeah, me and
And
Jules was
we,
talking about that today. Yeah.
yeah, and we call this deja vu. But
Yeah.
really, it's not deja vu. It's really called soul memory, because your
Mm-hmm.
soul is remembering the person, the encounter. And it can be even the same exact event that you guys have had in another lifetime. Like you could be sitting at a coffee table at a coffee shop. And that's the exact same scenario that the soul remembers, the exact same shirt, okay? The exact same color of the coffee cup, all right?
Mm.
You may have that same green latte that you had back in that other lifetime, you
Mhm.
see? And that is where soul DNA comes in, because we truly are multi-dimensional beings.
That's so real for me, because sometimes I could be in a moment in space where I'm just like, I feel like I've done this already. Like I've been here, I feel like I've done it. Or if I'm driving somewhere that I know I've never been to, but for some reason this space feels so familiar. And I'm
Yep.
navigating this place that is new to me, but it feels like I've been there.
Right.
Mhm. That's
Yeah.
what we were talking about earlier with Lucio. That's what I was saying. Like, yo, I was telling Lucy, like, research on soul families, because this is why we're experiencing what we're experiencing. Like, because we linked up before in the past times. Like, this is not our first lifetime together. Like,
Yep.
and this thing
Yeah.
called soul contracts. You
Yeah.
Action.
know, so
Yeah.
I was because I was telling Lucy about like how I connected with certain people in my relationships, and like, and how, like, because how I'm like, how I was like trying to be focused on achieving goals and everything, and how I'm trying to do everything while I'm single without getting to any relationships. But then I end up getting to like multiple relationships, and how one relationship leads to another, and it's funny
Mm-hmm.
how they're all connected. And and I was telling Lucy, like, and when I enter to these into these relationships, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like we, because I'm like, wow, this person could be the one for me, or I feel like
Mm-hmm.
this is a reason why we're together. It's because that we linked up before in our previous lifetime, and we had a soul contract to link up at this time and location. You know.
Right.
Absolutely. You know what? I am in 100% congruency with Lucy when it comes to religion and how it is to hold you back and to bind you. You can never accelerate, you can never ascend. I know I'm going to piss a lot of people off when I say this because they think that religion is their golden ticket to heaven. But
Right.
you will never ascend, you will never truly get to your destination in which you are seeking through religion as your vehicle. Because only when I stepped away from religion, I was able to really understand soul contracts in its entirety and what that actually means for me. Okay, case in point, when I awaken, when someone cheats on me, I don't look at it the way that I used to look at it in 3D anymore. I
Mhm.
look at it as they finally found that person that they had, that other person that they had a soul contract, and now it's that person's turn, and their turn to learn from that person. They've learned everything that they needed to learn from me. I don't agree with the way people do things, right? But
Mhm.
we have free will. And so therefore, like my daughter, she was like, "Well, how come you're not mad at my ex because him getting back with his ex?" I'm like, "That's none of my business. That's between the two of them. If that's what they want to do." She was like, "But you're not mad at him." I was when it happened. I'm human at the end of the day, but as I awakened, I realized now it's time for me to find my mate. Now I need to find that person that's on, my vibrational frequency that's coming to teach me.
Mhm.
Can we talk about unconditional love? Because I spent a lot of my life
Yeah.
thinking that loving unconditionally, it made me noble or morally superior in some way. And now that I have this new way of thinking, it was completely delusional.
Like, what unconditionally, it depends
Like,
on
how does that
the
make
person
me
you're giving that.
morally superior or noble to love one unconditionally when it wasn't like it really doesn't make any sense to love somebody unconditionally, because it's just telling me that no matter what they
Whatever.
do to you, I'm still going to love you the same, no matter how
Mm,
they treat me or mistreat me.
Yeah.
Whether their bond with whether their contract with me,
Mhm.
whether they break that contract or not, my
mhm,
love for them will continuously be unquestioned and unconditional. And the only person who lose is me. And I'm over here thinking that, well, I was loyal and I loved him
Right.
unconditionally, and I'm being played
mhm,
this whole time. Like,
Right.
to
mhm.
me, that was
Yeah.
delusional.
Yeah.
It
Because I feel like
is.
I was indoctrinated into me thinking that I need to love my mate unconditionally.
Mm.
Yeah. That
Honey, that's a good topic of discussion right there. Anybody
like
wanna anybody wanna add to that before I take this away, baby?
that
Yeah,
does.
well, I speak for myself with this unconditional love thing. I say, I feel like I agree with Lucy on that.
Yeah.
That's why that example on the other live, I was saying, I was giving an example, like, listen, I love her, I love my girl and all, but if it gets to a point where it's like it gets too, if the relationship gets too toxic, that unconditional shit gotta go.
Right.
I gotta cut you out. We gotta
Mhm.
split up, and I love you from the far. But then there's the other part where it's like if you have kids, or like, all right, like for example, like my mom, she loves me unconditionally. You got what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
It
at the
depends.
same time, I believe we'll get to a point. Like I think there'll be a limit. Like let's say if I was a bad son, I'm just out here murdering people,
Yeah.
causing trouble.
Wreaking
Mhm.
havoc in these
I mean,
streets.
and the thing is with my mom too, like she shows, like, like there would be some kind of love too at the same time in a weird way, because you do have
Yeah.
parents that's like, they go to they get their kids in jail, they don't care, they still love their kids.
That's
Yeah,
different.
So
That's
it's
what your
like,
mom is supposed to do.
exactly.
yeah, but your
Your
kids is
mom is
bad. Like,
supposed
yo,
to
he's
love
always going to
you.
jail. He always like, yo, like me, I get tired. Like, yo, I
He's
can't.
just a
I'm sorry,
menace.
son. I gotta let my I'm like, yo, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
There are people who don't want a relationship with you, but they want you all to themselves and the
Mm-hmm.
loyalty and everything that comes with it. And I want to consider those
Mhm.
people to be called collectors. They like to
Mhm.
collect people and their feelings, but don't commit to them. So it's like really, it's really convenient for people who are toxic or narcissistic because I mean, they enjoy all the perks of being in a relationship, the loyalty to you, to them, and being with them and only them, and they just get to do whatever.
Right.
And so
Mhm.
it's like, if I call, if you and when you call them on it, it's almost like they will hit you with the, well, we weren't in a relationship in the first place, or, well, you're being too emotional and whatever. And
Right.
it's like,
They start gaslighting you.
right. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like, there are collectors and they're emotional terrorists.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Well said.
Anybody? Go ahead. Sorry.
Now, I was just saying, very well said. I know what she's
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah. There are people when it comes to unconditional love that will take advantage of that love because your love is unconditional.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because some of them were used to conditioned love where they had to perform, they had to, you know, meet a certain criteria in order for them to continue a relationship. And so most of them decided to end it. So then they get into a relationship with you and they see that you're more flexible, you're more vulnerable, and the more flexible and more vulnerable you are, the more they take advantage.
Yeah.
So unconditional love is not for everybody.
Right.
Unconditional love is only for those that give you unconditional love in
Yeah.
return with
Yes.
boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And
But
if
see,
Yo,
see,
shout out to
see,
Dana. Yo, shout out to Dana.
see that
I know, right?
uh
it
oh.
gets, oh,
Jules
Jules
just went off.
disappeared.
Uh-oh. He got, but
It
go
gets kind of muddy with the word unconditional and boundaries. It gets muddy because the word itself, unconditional, it means to me no matter what.
Right. Like no
Boundaries means you get to the certain place and you stop. So it's like
mm,
those two words kind of contradict each other. So we can't
mm-hmm,
live in a place of unconditional because we are people. When you live in unconditional love, it puts you in a place where you are vulnerable to pain.
right.
mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So boundaries have to be all throughout. There are always going to be a condition to my love.
Okay.
There's a condition that you respect me,
Mm-hmm,
you treat me like a person, you like, there's so many things that you need to do in order to keep me in this relationship with you, and there's so many things I need to do to stay in a relationship with you. So there are always going to
Mhm.
be conditions.
Those conditions, yeah.
Unconditioned mean there's no rules.
Right.
And you're right. It is a self-contradicting thing because unconditional means there is no boundaries.
Right.
And it
There
make
is
it
no bounds. Like, anything goes. It's open.
Right. So that word has become scary to me. It used to seem like this loving thing, oh, unconditional love. But like now it's like, yo,
Mhm.
that is really dangerous because
It is very dangerous.
you could really damage yourself that way.
yeah.
Yeah, and thank you for expounding on that, Lucy, because again, it goes back to the status quo, what we've been told, what we've been
Right.
taught. We've been taught to love unconditionally. So then when someone comes, the abuser, we don't question them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't
And
we question them? Because we love them in spite of. Because that's
because
what we were taught.
we know love is not supposed to hurt you.
Right.
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 And
Mhm.
especially if you're brought up in trauma, you will think anything that look like love is acceptable.
Right.
That's true.
Because
That's
people can
true.
mix people tend to mix trauma and love at the same time. It's weird. It kind of this weird mix of it. It's like
Mhm.
I'll
Mhm.
love you with a punch in the face, you know?
Exactly.
So I'm punching you and telling you I love you at the same time. It confuses your
Mhm.
brain to think that this abuse is love. Well, he said he loves
Mhm.
me, right? But you got a black eye. Well, he didn't mean
Or a
it.
busted lip.
Right. But
Exactly.
he did it, right? So how
Yeah.
could you say that's love when you're crying? Love
Mm-hmm.
does not make you cry like that.
Mm-hmm.
No, it doesn't.
So
It
yeah,
doesn't. And
unconditional love, we're
not
killing that.
not for
Yeah.
an awakened person. And you know what was I going to say? It was in harmony to what you were saying about relationships. Uh, I lost it. Sorry. Um, we do have 3K Alexis 92. Hello. I am a newbie. Welcome to the channel, girlfriend. I
Oh.
wanted to know, how do you get past insecurities? As almost 30 years old woman, I thought I would be confident by now, but I seek out a lot of validation. Can you guys relate? Yes, I was there once before because I didn't love myself enough. See, you only seek validation from other people because you have not learned how to love you wholly and fully, accepting your shadow, accepting your light, the good, the bad, the right, the wrong, the indifferent, the mistakes of your past, knowing that they had to happen, right? Because they shaped and they molded you. When you finally stand in your autonomy, that is when you will not even care how anybody views you, what
Oh my God.
opinion is of you, or anything, because you have stood in your own autonomy and you have sat with your own self and you have come to know yourself.
I
So,
was just
love and
saying,
coming to know yourself is what I would recommend for you to do.
wow.
What I've
That
learned, and I oh sorry, go ahead.
no, I was saying what she said is completely correct because I literally just had this conversation with one last night and said exactly what you just said about not needing validation when you reach a certain vibration. Like
Yep.
not think of anything, not caring what they think of you, not needing that validation. And I was expressing how I had got to the level like I don't need the validation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's
Yep.
just something that you said that, that was great.
Thank you.
hmm
It takes time. Don't be hard on yourself neither if you're still struggling with those insecurities. All insecurities are little markers to let us know where we still need to work on ourselves. That's
hmm
it.
hmm
What I've learned about insecurities, I've learned that it is something that is learned, is not inherent.
hmm
Um, like for example, for me, I have a mole right here, right?
Me
And
too. Me too.
I
Right
would have
here.
never known I had a mole until somebody pointed it out.
Right.
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 And
Right.
when it was pointed out in a negative way.
Yeah.
That
Mm.
this mole, it is this big ugly thing on your face. It became an insecurity, but I never thought about it. It was never a thing until someone else pointed out. So all my insecurities about the way my body looked, the way my face looked, my skin color, my skin tone, it was all from someone else that I took and internalized it.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Mhm.
became a sickness for me because now I spend my whole life trying to change the way I look. We spend our whole life trying to alter the way we look. That's why we go and get breast implants and get our butts done and do so many things because it's someone else's somebody else pointing something else about us, their insecurities, we internalize it.
Right.
So we
Mhm.
start to alter ourselves. And the more we alter ourselves, the more we don't recognize ourselves. And it becomes harder and harder to love yourself because you've changed yourself so much that this is literally not who I am.
Right.
You're
Mhm.
no longer who you are. And those insecurities do not go away. But you do have to realize you are literally beautiful, no matter what anybody
Mhm.
says.
Right.
And you have to
Mhm.
tell yourself that because you can't wait for nobody to tell you that. You
Right.
have to walk in that every day because nobody's going to walk with you with that.
Right.
You have to do it for yourself. And it's so hard. You know, it's so hard for us to love ourselves and so easy for us to love other people.
I'm telling
Yeah.
you.
But
Yeah.
at the same time, how are you going to give someone you don't have something you don't have? If you don't have love for yourself, how are you going to love someone else?
You
Right.
can't. You can't. You
Mm-hmm.
can't. You can't want something abundantly and you're deficient in it.
And it's
Right.
literally in the Bible. You love your neighbors as you love yourself. If you
That's
don't
right.
love yourself, how are you going to love your neighbors? The
Yep.
work starts
That's
with
true.
you in order to give it to other people. Because if you don't love yourself correctly, you're gonna half-ass your love with other people.
Yeah.
Right. Seeking validation from others.
You're constantly you get no rest, you get no peace because you're constantly trying to change something about yourself when you were good the way you
The
are.
first place. Yeah.
If you do want to change, it has to be for a good reason. It has
Absolutely.
to be for a healthy reason,
Yeah.
not for vanity.
Mhm.
Vanity
Mm,
is never a good reason.
Mm-hmm.
not at all.
Exactly.
That's just what I think.
I agree. 100%.
Yeah.
Yo, so you guys can hear me real quick? Cause I know I accidentally like logged out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, cool. Now, cause I just want to give a quick shout out to Dana, yo, cause the comment she said about love can be unconditional, but relationships aren't. Like, yo, shout out, yo. You know.
For real.
And what Lucy was saying too, like, yo, dog, mm, yo, yeah, and all these things we were talking about earlier, like, all right, because earlier, right? So happy birthday once again, Lucy, because we went to we had like a birthday dinner earlier today, right? So we
Hmm.
just discussing all these topics earlier about how like uh with the DNA soul, I mean with the soul has a DNA and how things are like related and how we linked up in the past on lifetime to all these things, and then the insecurities that everyone is going through, and also the self confidence, like because I do body sculpting, right?
Hmm.
So that's like my purpose of helping, like change people, like basically this can relate to
Appearance.
if you get a breast implants, or if you get anything changed in your body, as long that you decide, you make the decision for yourself. It's not really to You're not getting anything, like you changing your nose, you're changing any body features just to please someone else. It's really because of yourself, because of your own decision, and always think
Hmm.
highly of yourself too. Always make sure you think highly of yourself, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because
Hmm.
another thing we were talking about earlier too is like yesterday, Lucy was saying, like, how is it that you as a child, you witnessed your parents abuse your, like, okay, let's just say, how can you as a son see your father abuse your mother, and you think it's okay to go grow up and abuse the woman that's
Your
in your
wife.
life, you know? And then I was just saying, like, it's kind of similar, like, if people always talk negative about you, you know, what makes it okay for you to continue thinking negative about yourself? Why don't you think highly of yourself?
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense, you know? So everyone think highly of yourself, you know? Just because everyone tells you something negative, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like if you don't believe that, if you always thought you were fine at the beginning before someone told you something otherwise, don't let that affect you, yo. Always think highly of yourself. You
Yeah, it's
know, be reasonable.
internalizing others' insecurities, and it's
Yeah.
so easy, especially when um it's coming from the people who are supposed to love you, like your
Right.
parents.
Makes
Yes.
sense.
Mm-hmm.
It gets really difficult to like get out of that mindset when you're constantly being indoctrinated to hate yourself.
Right.
Right.
Everything we go through life that we internalize is a form of indoctrination. So we spend our whole lives, like if you're living in a home with abusive parents,
Mm-hmm.
every little thing about you is going to continuously be scrutinized. And once you grow up and out of that place, you think you're healing yourself. You're going through that process of healing yourself, but then you realize you're actually redoing the same thing. You're
Mm-hmm.
recycling that pain that you do because you don't know anything else.
Yep.
You don't know what love is or how to love yourself because you weren't taught it. You were only taught how to scrutinize and hate yourself. And it's really hard to teach yourself that.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
really hard. So, and then it goes and you find yourself seeking validation to other people from other
Mm-hmm.
people because you don't know how to do it for yourself. And I have issues with that. I still do that. And
Mm-hmm.
it's something I'm trying to learn. But sometimes you find yourself doing it to yourself.
Old
Yeah.
habits die hard.
Mm-hmm.
You find yourself,
Yeah.
it's really difficult to do it. And it
Yep.
gets you into this emotional place because you realize you have PTSD.
Yeah.
Because when you
Mm.
do that to yourself, it takes you back to the time where you first heard it
Yep.
and how you
You
felt.
relive that trauma.
You
You
relived
relive
it,
that
and
trauma.
you do it to yourself over and over. And I'm still trying to learn how to not do that to myself. It's so easy to do it. You don't even try. You don't even
Mm-hmm.
try to do it. It just happens. Like it's like a voice in your head that's on repeat. And
Yeah.
that voice in my head is the voice of the abuser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Someone
it's
mentioned about the Stockholm Syndrome.
I saw
yeah,
that.
it starts off as the voice of your abuser, but as time go on, and if you don't heal from that and work on that, it will start turning into your voice,
Right.
and now you can't
Mm-hmm.
tell the difference anymore.
Right.
Mm-mm. So
That's just
true.
what I think.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. It is not.
All right.
Yeah, Stockholm syndrome is when a person loves their abuser.
Yeah.
What happens with childhood trauma? You
Mm-hmm.
could get Stockholm syndrome even as an adult.
You
Yeah.
sure can. You sure can. Yep. That's true.
Yeah.
And
Matter of
it could
fact,
happen in the church too. It could happen in the
it
church.
does happen there. It does
It
happen
could
there a
happen in
lot.
the church. Because I'm telling you, I just have
Mhm.
such a deep resentment for religion because it could be very toxic and very abusive and all in the
Mhm.
guise of worshiping God. And it's like all
Mhm.
bullcrap because you have these leaders who are very charismatic and
Mhm.
they make you feel like they're helping you live a better life.
The
They
golden
come to
life.
you. They
Mhm.
come to you as if God spoke to them themselves, which is not true. But it's like we stay in the church because of fear that
Mm-hmm.
of
Yep.
fear of missing out.
That's right.
So you shut off your critical thinking skills
That's
in
right.
order to get this place that was promised to you that nobody has seen. Nobody
Mm.
even knows about it. We don't
Nope.
even know who started this.
Mhm.
Who started telling people about this? But we have this fear of missing out that we shut off our critical thinking skills and go on with it. And then we're being abused. We're being manipulated.
Mhm.
We're getting played, but like we're getting played.
We
But we
are.
stay and we love our church and we love our pastor. That's straight up Stockholm syndrome right there.
Right, but I do want to say, not all churches are bad though.
Not
That's why I
all
said
churches
earlier,
are
only
bad,
only the
but
churches
as a
that don't have the Holy
collective,
Spirit. I'll say I agree with you.
but as a collective, because
Mm-hmm.
I like to stick to the Black community, because that's the only community that I personally know. Because I grew up in the church. I was born and raised in the church my entire life. And I
Mm-hmm.
came to this conclusion in my early 20s, when I started doing critical thinking, because things weren't making sense.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up in a Haitian church. We were pressured into getting baptized.
Mm-hmm.
And we were originally told that this was a choice, but we were pressured into doing it. And I realized why they were pressuring us to do it, because we were teenagers getting into a certain age, and they know the pressures of life, like having sex and all those stuff. They wanted to, keep our purity. In
Mm-hmm.
order to keep our purity, we must make this promise to Jesus. So we
Mm.
were pressured into getting baptized. How about
Yeah.
that? That shit made us worse, because we were curious, so we went ahead and did it. Like, it wasn't something that we did with our full um self. We did
Right.
it out
With
of
your
pure
full
pressure.
consciousness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did it out of pressure, and we
Yeah.
didn't really believe in what we were doing. We just felt like this is what we had to do, because that's what they told us.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome those that just joined us, John and Divine Film. Thank you so much. One thing that I am going to say, okay, all religion, in my personal opinion, and notice I said my personal opinion just because I have been a scholar of religion ever since I was a little girl. I have been a Presbyterian, I've been to a Catholic church, Baptist, non-denomination. I studied with Muslims, I became a Jehovah's Witness. All of it is to keep you in mental bondage. Period, point blank. There is no mediator between you and God. You are God. Period. Period, point blank.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I am saying all of this to say that I recently, and this is not a contradiction, I did this for more reasons than one, and I won't get on that discussion or soapbox on this live, but on the next one, I'll tell you the rhyme or reason why I started my own church. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not really a churchy church. It's actually a university. It's called Soulogy University. But I had to go up under the guise of a church in order for me to open it. But the reason why is because we really need to ascend. Jesus, his whole life was about ascension. It was not about religion. Okay?
Right.
Jesus was not a Christian. That
Yeah.
happened 2000 years after his death. People started following him and worshiping him. He didn't say worship me. People did that on his own. Buddha didn't say worship me, but yet and still you have Buddhists. So again, religion is a platform, just like we have, training wheels on a bike. When we continue to ride, we remove those training wheels and then we're riding the bike on our own. And
Right.
that's what I feel. I feel like all religion is a vehicle, but it can become a self-contained prison if you stay there, because you'll continue to be boxed, like Lucy said, and you will never be able to think outside of the box because they won't allow you to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They take it as an end all be all,
Yes.
and it's really damaging. Again, growing up in the church, it became really damaging to me, because I'm like, you want me to dedicate so much of myself and time to this, and I don't get anything in return. And I continuously ask this question about in the Black churches, and especially in these mega churches that's out there. Like, how come in our communities, these mega churches who have thousands and thousands of 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 people in their church, so many members in their church, but they don't have any programs for these people? We come here for help. That's what the church is supposed to be. It's
Right.
supposed to be a hospital, right? A spiritual hospital, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Right. Right.
not only am I living in this, I need to have spiritual healing. I'm also living in this physical world, and I have needs to take care of in this physical world. So how come we don't have any libraries to expand my mind? Why don't we have any hospitals to help learn holistic ways to take care of ourselves, or even modern ways of health? Why don't we have any programs for the elderly, for kids who are in need of at-risk children? Like, we don't have these programs, but every time we congregate, y'all taking money from us.
Exactly.
Where is this money
I'm
going to?
And I'm still in my same Latin life. Nothing has changed, but your bank account has gotten increased.
Right. It makes no sense
You see?
for a member of the church to be unable to pay their light. What are you doing with the money that we're giving you? My 10%? Are you kidding me? That is my blessing, and you took it away from me. For what? You telling me, and I can't. Oh, you gotta sow seeds. They're always telling us to sow seeds. No, I'm sowing seeds for you because you got the mansion.
That's right. You got the 7 cars.
Yeah, that's what I just
With
said.
the 7-car garage.
The first lady is dripping. The first lady is dripping.
Some of these features are not forgotten. I've seen it over and over.
They for themselves.
Yeah. To get rid of it. Use
what part of this? What part of this is God? What part of this is God?
Most of it not at these churches.
Remember, and then they be selling their books in the churches and their seminars in the churches. And I'm like, yo, if y'all really paid attention, Jesus was like, don't do that. He destroyed the markets in front of the churches. You're not gonna be over here capitalizing on God. You're not gonna do that. You're not gonna use the house of my father. You're not gonna use the house of my Lord, of my father to make money.
They're just doing God's work, Lucy. They're just doing God's work.
God's work is Jesus told you God is wherever you at.
Yeah.
So why do we have to come to this specific building every day and pour money out of our pockets just to keep the lights on?
Because your house is not the house of the Lord. This mansion, this stadium is the house of the Lord right here. It's the real house of the Lord.
My body is the house of the Lord.
Need a church, you can get your own relationship with God by yourself.
That's why I can't subscribe.
That's what Jesus said. He said to go into your own prayer closet and let your petitions be made known to God in secret. Pray to your Heavenly Father in secret.
Yes.
He didn't say in the church, because all these are man-made temples.
Yes. Religion is all man-made. How come there's so many different denominations?
I can do this better.
How is there one God but 1,000 different religions? That doesn't make any sense.
It's everybody's different perspective of God, basically.
That's right.
See, okay, so you're cherry picking. So what is the truth?
Fact, but you know what? You're asking too much questions. You're asking too many questions.
See, that's why I couldn't stay in the church, because I had too many questions and not enough answers. And they just tell you to pray on it, or you have to follow, or you can't ask God. They be like, oh, you can't be questioning the Lord because that's a sin, and all of that. And when somebody tell you can't ask questions, you know you are in a cult.
You know that's right, honey.
When you're unable to ask a real valid question,
do as I say. Don't question what I do. Do as I say.
Are you crazy?
Yeah.
I'm an adult.
Pray on it. Pray on it. Just pray on it.
Alone, and I can't ask you questions. Okay, first of all, if you're doing a fundraiser or somebody coming knocking on your door and try to petition you for whatever, they explain to you what they're doing and why.
Yeah.
And you have the right to ask them questions because they're asking you for money. You're asking me for money every time I see you. Every time I go talk to the Lord, I got to give you money. What is that? Am I paying to go talk to the Lord? Because I could just stay home to do that.
You paying?
No, you have to pay your tithe so you can get your blessings back. You don't get it, Lucy. You don't get it. That's why you're going to hell. That's that.
But when I was in college, I was working full time. I was a full-time student working full time at Universal Studios. I didn't have money to pay my car note, and you tell them that I can't come to church because I have to work. Why can't you make some time for God? Because I got to pay my bills. Are you going to help me pay for my car? Are you going to pay for my tuition? No, you got to pray for it. Are you kidding me?
You don't get it, Lucy. You don't have faith. You don't have enough faith.
I
Right.
guess I don't, because I refuse to give all that I have, all that the Lord has given me, has used my body to break my back for this white man and on his clock to make this little bit of money. Now I got to give it to you. Now I can't pay my bills.
Right.
It makes it really difficult for me to continue subscribing to something that has continuously hurt me, that has become a fashion show, that has been a club. They call it fellowship. Y'all, this is just a gossip group. It's a fashion show. Y'all gossip. So much scandal. You got the pastors and the people in the committee doing horrible things, people stealing money. And it's like, when do y'all find time for the Lord? Y'all doing all of this.
And they're balling for real, yo. They're living good, yo.
Yeah.
Of course.
But that's because that the Lord chose them to give the message to his people. You don't have enough
Right.
faith.
I'm special. You're not special enough to get the message. So I'm gonna have to deliver it to you. And you're gonna have to pay me for it, okay?
Right.
You, that man right there, that
Right.
God is speaking to you. The last time I heard God spoke to anybody was Abraham, so he decided to speak to you.
But it's a business at the same time. So, like they say, the church, they don't get taxed. They don't pay taxes.
They sure don't.
You know, these people who say that the Lord is speaking to them, that is just their ego. That is not God. That is your ego speaking to you, making you think that you're entitled to something.
Watch what you say. Watch what you say. All right, be careful. Okay,
that's your ego. You can't tell me that the Lord is speaking.
No, Lucy, it's the Holy Spirit. You don't get it. You need to go back to church. Okay, it's the Holy Spirit that's speaking to me. Okay,
that's your ego. Like, come on now.
Yeah,
you're on a higher vibration and really sense who's actually talking to God, who's not.
that's true. Just like Dana said, many people that are Christians and follow after Jesus Christ don't live like Jesus.
Right. They just want that label to feel like they're going to heaven or whatever.
Yep. It's called lip service.
Right.
Because they devoid in their actions.
Or
Jesus, praise the Lord.
Snake oil salesman.
Yeah, snake oil salesman is a good one for sure.
I just can't subscribe to it.
It's really liberating that we have all broke away from those chains, though.
Yeah.
That we can now kind of like look back at it objectively and feel the freedom that Jesus actually spoke about, because he said the truth shall set you free. Never once when I was a Jehovah's Witness did I feel free. As a matter of fact, we used to have to go to the Kingdom Hall 3 times a week, you guys.
Yeah, I was there too. I used to go. We were Jehovah's Witness too.
And I'm like, okay, not only do I have to go to the Kingdom Hall 3 times a week, but we had to go out and field service. And I was a auxiliary pioneer. And then I became a regular pioneer, which means that was 100 hours a week. And let me tell you, that might not sound like that's a lot, but that is a lot.
It takes up so much of your time.
Knocking on people's doors, trying to save the world, and realizing what at the end of it all, there's nobody coming to save us. You are your own savior. Even us, like the chosen ones, like Lucy had brought out at the beginning, we are only a select few. It's only 144,000 chosen ones. Everybody, like Jules said, is not meant to go on this new earth, this new mothership, this new whatever you want to call it. Because not everyone volunteered to ascend in this lifetime, and that's okay. It's all right, because we all have our soul contracts and what we came in to do. It's a saying that Jehovah's Witness used to say a lot. They said there's some of us that are here that are being tested, and then the other half are the other ones that are testing us.
Right.
And that's how it is with the world. We are being tested by the world.
Yeah, before you learn the lesson.
Yeah, look at how many people went, and I know as a Jehovah's Witness, we don't get vaccinated, or I don't want to say we, because I don't want to associate myself with that anymore. But I know they don't get vaccinated. I know that. But do you know almost every Jehovah's Witness that I know is vaccinated now?
Wow.
So where did Jehovah go?
It's easy how your faith changes when you're scared.
Yes.
When
Yes.
fear starts to set in, suddenly your faith changes.
Yes.
Well, everything changes, especially when the pandemic happened. You know,
Right.
you heard about that church. What church that closed the doors for people from letting people in the church when COVID first hit in?
They stopped
I
people from
forgot.
going into the church.
Are you talking about Joe Osteen?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, that was for a storm. That was like a hurricane or something that happened.
No, it was it?
Yeah, there was like a flooding or a storm that happened, and he closed the door of his mega church, of his congregations.
But that still relates to it, because like, dog, people need help. Like you close your door. You close God's door from people from being saved, yo.
They recently in Joel Osteen's church, they recently found money hidden in the walls. Somebody was contractually hired to fix one of the bathrooms. So when he was tearing down one of the walls to fix whatever he was fixing, the pipes, whatever, he found thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars from back in 2014. That money went missing after they did a weekend of fundraising, and that money went missing. And they just found it last year in the walls of the church.
Oh my.
They put out a reward. If you find the money, we'll reward you for finding the money, and whatever the heck. They found the money, and the guy who found the money, he didn't get any reward for it. It was in the walls of the church. So now tell me who did it?
Exactly.
Who had access?
Who had the keys to the building?
Handle. So tell me, what part of this is the Lord's work? Please tell me.
Not church, it was.
Please tell me, what part of this is the Lord's work? Come on now. And this is why I cannot subscribe to prosperity preachers. Are so dangerous. Prosperity preachers are so dangerous. They sing sweet songs to you and tell you all of the. You ever hear how Joel Osteen talk?
Yeah.
You ever be in a situation and things are tough and this and that? All you gotta do is keep your faith. Like, are you kidding me? You're literally telling me nothing.
Right.
You're telling me nothing.
I mean, church is not all bad. I mean, I still go to church for the dance and the music, though. The black church.
I can't stand you.
You could go to the club for that. You could go to the club.
Hey, you can't. Hey, I know everyone likes that part of the church.
It is a club.
That church be lit.
It is a club.
It is a club.
Church is a club. Just like you need to pay your entrance fee to get into the club. You got to pay your tithes to be in the church. It's a club.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. I'm with you all day long, Lucy.
Stop playing with me. I can't.
Okay. Come on now.
I can't.
Bumping though. Oh man.
You gotta dress to the nines. You gotta dress your best.
That's right.
Look good.
And don't be skimpy. Don't be skimpy with your first offering, because they're gonna pass that collection plate back around
5
again.
times.
Oh yeah.
Right. 9 times. 9 times.
Jesus. And I remember that so vividly, that they would pass out the offering so many times. So we go. If they're gonna pass it 5 times, I come with $5. Each time I give $1. Each time I give $1. Each time I give $1, because that's how they did it. And if they're like, okay, well, it's the first Sunday of the month and we made this much, I know y'all can do better. I know God bless y'all this year or this month or whatever. Y'all need to do better. And they'll pass the collection plate again. Are you serious? I thought giving to the Lord was based on how I feel. It had to be my choice.
Lucy, you don't get it. The more you give, the bigger the blessing you get in return, Lucy. You don't get it, man. You don't get it.
Well, the rent due, and I don't have my money because I spent the whole service giving it to you.
Wow. Man, I tell you, it's just amazing that I thought I was gonna always be going to church or always going to the Kingdom Hall and just putting my time in and biding my time so I can find favor in Jehovah and I can have everlasting life so I won't die with the rest of the world.
It became your obligation. It became you would feel guilty not going.
I'm telling you. I am
I
telling
had to
you.
get out. I had to get out of it because it is a toxic
Me too.
relationship.
It is.
We're in a relationship with a toxic person, and it's in a form of a religion. It's very
Exactly.
manipulative. They gaslight you.
Yeah.
They love bomb you.
Yeah.
They would do these what is smear campaigns with all these scandals in the church or whatever. Like,
Hmm.
it's literally I'm in a relationship with a narcissist. That's what church was for
Straight
me.
up. Straight up.
Mhm.
You took all my money and I got
Hmm.
nothing in return but
Yeah.
regrets and
Right.
scary stories.
Try going to a
Mm.
church where they want a minimum of 75 for offering.
Mm.
$75.
My sister went to a church like that. She went, and it was like something she saw online, like a big get together they were getting, and apparently the person who was going to be there was a prodigy. So when she saw the lady was like, I need you to remove your jewelry and give me your phone and all that. And my sister was like,
Wow.
oh, okay, hello, and how come? And the lady told her, because I said so. The
Mm.
prodigy. So she's like, okay, all right. So my sister wasn't happy about that. And then when we got in the church, they told everyone you have to give a minimum of $75 each. So,
What is
and
it?
she
Club dues?
got up
Like,
and walked out the church.
it sounds like club dues. Like when you joined the national honor. Like when I was in high school, when you had to be in the National Honor Society, is the group of people who have the like high GPA in high school. You had to pay
Mhm.
dues throughout the school year, and it's basically promising that you'll get to be in positions to get scholarships and get access to the best schools. They even promise you like you won't have to pay application fees for certain colleges you want to apply for. So we did our best to be a part of the National Honor Society, make sure we have the best grades and all of
Mhm.
that. We go to everything that they tell us to do, and we paid the dues.
Mhm.
But you weren't all these promises they made. I didn't get into the college I wanted to get to.
Mhm.
Mhm.
If
They
you
didn't hold their end of the bargain.
if your GPA dropped, you are out.
Mm.
You are out. This is what it sounds like to me. That's what it
Mhm.
sounded like to me. You got to pay dues. That's
Mhm.
ridiculous. When do I have time to worship my God? When do I have time to do that? To speak to Him, to spend time with my God? If I'm
On
constantly
Sundays, on Sundays at 9 in the morning, you don't get it, Lucy. You don't
To
have enough
nine,
faith.
9 to 5. We get out of church at 5 o'clock. Starts at 9.
and they call it my personal relationship with God. How is it personal when I'm paying you? Like, are you God's pimp? Is that what it is?
Right. Right. Mm-mm-mm.
Yeah.
Damn, Lucy, you going to hell, man. You don't get it.
I'm
This is
sorry. I have just so much. I just like somebody please answer my questions. I need to
She's
know.
making some good points, though. That's why I don't go to church anymore.
Right.
Because
It
all the
shouldn't
churches
it
I've
shouldn't
gone
be a
to
struggle.
issues like that, where they just wasn't genuine. There'll be one way in church, and then you see the preacher outside the church, and he doing completely opposite of
God,
what he.
know
especially
what?
the
Yeah.
the ones that's on TV, like Jake's, TD Jakes, and
Yeah.
like the real major churches.
Pastors and stuff. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
But
Oh,
those are the people who consider themselves alpha males.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Those
they
they
seem like
those are the people who consider themselves alpha males, and they title themselves these. They put themselves in these pedestals because those are the smart, charismatic, easygoing type of
Mm-hmm.
people who
Mm-hmm.
can easily engage and
Influence.
and they know how to read people very well. Narcissistic people know how to read you, so they can
Yeah.
tell exactly what you need to hear in order to get you engaging more tonight. Like how they say sirens sing you a beautiful song to
mm-hmm.
lure you into the
right.
ocean and then you end up drowning. That's those people.
Mm-hmm.
Those are
And
those
they
alpha males.
beautiful.
Those
I get
people
the
are
power.
weird.
God speaks to me as like a way to get people to do what they want.
Oh, the Lord is
Yeah.
speaking through me. That's
Oh,
BS.
I'm up here. Look at me. I mean, you know what I mean?
It's
Mm-hmm.
like it's weird, and you have the pastors up here, and then you have everybody, all the other men on the bottom who have this because they always put the pastor on a
On a
pedestal.
pedestal.
So you have other men here on the bottom who want to be like him, so they self-title themselves alpha males as well. So, and it's like, it's weird for you to do that, because where'd you get that from? What you're doing is you're really like working so hard to impress other men. That's weird, don't you think?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you have the pastors. Now you have people who don't have that talent to have to be a pastor. Instead of doing like things that are that make sense, they get these little do these little videos and these little podcasts and stuff like that, and they slander women in their in their group to impress other men. To me, that's weird.
To show their masculinity. I don't know. It's just, I know exactly what you're talking about. I've seen it, and it's disgusting. If they got to slander women or talk about women in certain ways to show their dominance or how much of a man they are, or their power over this or that. Like, I can't.
One reason why I left organized religion is because of the suppression of women. And it was to a point where I was losing self. I was losing my self-identity. My husband, the only way to get out of that marriage through that religion was if my husband at the time committed adultery, and based off of the information that I had, he committed adultery, even though it wasn't physical. I shared with you guys, it's called parnia. He went to a club 2 weeks after he left, and I had a video that popped up on Facebook from his friend that was a mutual friend of mine, with a woman groping and grinding my husband.
Right.
Touching on his private area and everything. And it's one thing to be dancing, but when you're touching his private area, that's not dancing anymore. That's called intimacy. So I went before the body of elders and I presented it to them. I showed them the video, and they both said that they didn't see the video. I don't see nothing. Oh, I don't see anything either. So
that is very interesting.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, so what am I here for? What do I need your permission for? And they were like, talking to me like I was the one that did something wrong, and I was the one that was the innocent mate. I was the one that was faithful.
Yeah, because you're a woman.
Yeah. So that's what made me walk away. And they asked me, because they told me that I didn't honor them, and how did I feel about them being put in authority over me, and Jehovah is the one to put them over me. And I said, there ain't nobody over me but me.
That is insane.
And they looked at me like as if I blasphemed, but it's so true. And that's the first time I've ever experienced anything on that magnitude in that religion, because I was a part of that religion ever since I was 14 years old. So I was raised up in it. So can you imagine, the shell shock? My paradigm was shattered. And so, lucky for me, that's one of the catalysts that really awakened me.
Right. So you pointed out inconsistencies, and they just basically say, well, you're just being emotional.
Exactly. Right. You're just being a bitter wife right now. Let that man get stoned by this woman and act like you didn't see it. Okay.
And the thing is, men like that think that they are entitled to have sex with women. They think they're entitled to our bodies. They think that they're entitled to full submission and in obedience. But what they don't even see women as people.
Nope.
They don't even see us as people. That I'm even questioning, do you even like women?
Exactly.
All of this stuff you're doing is to impress other men. So do you even like women?
At all?
No, we just like the pull.
Yeah,
I'm
we
like,
have been broken down to certain body parts. That's what it is, and
For real.
it's been normalized to and accepted for men to just go around traumatizing women and and we are being held accountable for it.
We are.
like, oh, we were doing this, or we were doing that, or it's because you did this, or you're not this and that. It's always what the woman did.
But
Yeah.
when they terrorize us this way, we always allow grace to them. We
Mhm.
give them grace. Oh,
Yes.
he's just depressed. Oh,
Hmm.
he's going through a tough time.
He didn't mean
He's
it.
he's in a transition right now.
Mhm.
He gets upset sometimes, and
Now you get it. Yes. Here we
we
go.
always give them grace
Yeah.
Yes.
for the
But
way they
where's the grace
traumatize
for
them.
us though? Like, what
And if
about
Exactly.
this grace vice
we never
versa?
actually get to sit down and be like, that's really messed up what he did to me. Like that's
Mhm.
really messed up. And when you call the man out on it, if you brought it, if you bring it up and the
Mhm.
ethos, if you bring it up like in a public platform like this, you get called a man hater.
Or a
Yeah,
You get called
feminist,
you
male
get called a
basher.
they're
feminist,
too
a man
emotional.
hater,
Yeah.
a misandry. Like it's crazy. I'm
Yeah.
pointing out you terrorizing me, and I'm being held accountable for talking about it. And that's
Mhm.
hold on. Let me tell
Listen.
you
Calm
something.
down. Calm down. You
Let
need
me
to
tell
calm
you
down.
something. Let me tell you
Because
people like that, you know, they don't want us to talk about our pain. They don't want us to write books about how to avoid narcissistic men or avoid narcissistic relationships altogether, because that is taking away their,
Power.
what
yeah,
is that
they
word?
can't be dominant over you
No,
because
it's
now
taking
you're
away their
giving them.
supply. We are their supply. It takes away their supply of women. If
Mhm.
all women are working on themselves into recognizing abuse when they see it, it
And
Mhm.
takes
different.
away the abuser's supply. So
Mhm.
MFers like the Derek Jacksons of the world and the Kevin Samuels of the world, they especially Derek Jackson, he is sadistic to me. He is diabolical. I feel like he's a psychopath because he spends so many years telling women how to navigate the dating realm and what when men do this is what it means. And the whole time
He was
he was
cheating.
cheating on his wife, and
Yep.
he was
What?
Yep.
the whole time him sitting in his raggedy car spewing
Like,
all this BS. He was cheating on his wife, and he was at the place of the girl he was cheating on his wife with. It was exposed that all those advices he was giving people, he was outside the door of the women he was cheating with.
Mm, mm,
mm-hmm.
mm, mm, mm.
So when this was exposed in such a public way, the woman he was cheating with exposed him in such a public way.
Yeah.
Instead,
And went on live and apologize.
he went on live like
Mm-hmm.
this,
Mhm.
holding his wife's hand, clasping onto it, and basically saying, oh, the Lord is going to help us work through this.
Mm.
Yep.
Mm, mm,
What makes
mm.
this man so sadistic is
Mhm.
that he has books that he sells, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
During this whole scandal period, instead of focusing on whatever he damaged, he decided to put his book on sale. So he's over here profiting on his wife's pain
Her
publicly. That
setback.
is sadistic.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, I'm still gonna
Yeah.
keep this.
You
You
are
still not.
profiting. You put your book 40-50% off. You are profiting on the
Mhm.
embarrassment of your wife. And you want to bring the Lord into this? The Lord was not there when you were smashing that chick
Burn.
upstairs.
Right. He finna
Not at
burn.
all. Wow.
Those type of
Hey.
men are very scary to me. He is diabolical.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm-mm-mm.
He has no shame whatsoever, and he still has a platform because he speaks to thousands and thousands of women who are in a point of their life of pain, and
Mhm.
he's relating to them in a way that they can understand. So he speaks to them in half truths. He'll tell them things
Mhm.
that make sense and then stick in toxic viewpoints into there to start making them question themselves. Maybe I
Mm.
need to change myself in this way, because this man, look, he's good looking, he speaks well, he's married, like he's a God-fearing man. Like,
Mm.
why wouldn't I believe him?
Right.
This is how you get cult following. A
Yes.
person who have no real credentials to be telling you anything was able to get you to dig out of your pocket to buy his raggedy books.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Diabolical. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
sad.
That is very sad.
And there's so many of them coming up. There's so many of them coming up. The Kevin
Yeah.
Samuels of the world. This
Yeah.
dude has no credentials. He has 2 failed marriages. I think he's gay. I don't know. But he
He sure certainly act
literally
like it.
he's telling people, he's telling women, oh, if you want to go on a date with if a man want to take you on a date, if it's after 5 o'clock 5 p.m, then
Mm-hmm.
sex is on the table.
Exactly.
No.
I heard that. I heard that.
You're advocating for sexual
Mhm.
assault. That's what
You
you are
are.
doing.
Absolutely.
And
That
it's
is not.
10:55, ladies. I'm just saying.
Some people don't get off
It's
of work till
10:55,
5
y'all.
a.m.
It's 10:55, y'all.
Okay.
So you telling me we
You
can
can
only
go
have
to
we can only have in order to not be sexually assaulted by men after 5 p.m, we must have breakfast dates. That's what you're telling me?
People work. What is that? Just sound like nonsense. It don't make no
It is
sense.
nonsense.
He's telling women
It's
who've decided, like there was this woman who was just like, I'm 37 years old and I've decided to be celibate, whatever, to like, take some time away from relationships with men to find myself. He was like, why are you doing that? You might
What?
as well just be giving it away. Because if you want somebody who's high value man, who got money, who could take care of you, you just gonna have to give the pum pum away. Because what's the
Mm.
point? You're
these
old. You're
platforms.
old.
Mm-mm-mm.
How do
He's like,
these
that's the stupidest thing
platforms
I've
be able
ever
to get
heard.
people
Like,
that
he
garbage?
is telling women this.
That's
And men who
ridiculous.
hear this,
He's
men who
spread,
hear this are internalizing it.
and guys are
Mm-hmm.
actually listening to him.
It's 10:56, y'all. I'm just saying. It's 10:56. I'm just following orders. I'm just saying.
And this is the world we live in. This is the world we live in.
Yeah.
Because of the world of technology and social media, these type of men have more access to women. You are
Yep.
literally you're literally a terrorist.
Hmm.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Mm.
And these people get to get away with it.
Problem. They don't see the problem. They think it's normal. It's so sad. Like, it's such a low vibrational way of
Yep.
thinking.
It is.
Up
For
here,
sure.
so when I hear guys talk like that, I look down to them like, dang, you still down there.
For real.
Jamie, not to cut you off. I'm just saying, like,
You
because
know?
you were breaking off a little bit. I don't know.
Oh,
Like,
sorry.
No, you good.
What did y'all not hear me out?
I heard it all. You said you look down to men like that in this low vibrational.
When guys speak in that type of way or any kind of demeanor way about women, even calling them certain names, I feel like I'm looking down at them like, yo, you're still down there.
Exactly.
Age, and it's almost like a pittiness I feel from, like, well, when are you going to come, like, grow, really have growth, come up and actually think in a better, higher, I don't know. I just
come to a higher state of consciousness. Why you want to be in that low?
It's starting to make me like really sick when I'm around it or when I hear it, because I'm so much past it now, and that's why most of the time I just don't speak. I'll let other people speak and I won't say much, but I'm at a point I'm actually trying to push myself to communicate more. And
good for you.
My voice, because when I hear something that gives me that feeling that I think is a low way of thinking, now it's like my spirit's pushing, like, no, you need to say something.
Yes.
You have to, because I don't know. And it's either they take that info or they don't.
We have a rule in my truck not to play Future. And I know that this is going to be controversial, but I can't stand his ass. All he talks about is fucking and using drugs. And I have children. I'm like, do not play that mess up and through here, because it vexes my spirit, you guys. Like, it makes me want to vomit. I'm like, he has been out enough. long enough to change his lingo.
Yes.
You know he doesn't even use the drugs.
I know that. That's what pisses
He's
me off
older
even
than-
more. But guess what? Do you know that the children that are listening to him, they don't know that?
Right.
So
Yeah.
they're gonna go pop a Molly. They're gonna do some perks. They're gonna do everything that he's talking about in his songs because that's what he's talking about, and that's who they idolize.
And
Right.
listening to that type of music, you know, when you things are repetitive, when you say them, they become mantras. They
Yep,
become basically like rituals. So
that's right.
when you're singing this type of music, you are literally bringing it into existence,
That's right.
into your life. You are singing this mantra into existence.
That's
So
right.
like that's why I can't listen to certain music like that,
Me
because it
neither.
literally it makes you feel disgusting.
It does.
It feels like it's so much lower than you, and it's not like a Sididity type of mentality. It's just like I can't rock with that no more.
Me neither.
Mm-mm.
And my kids are starting to understand that too. They were like, "Mom, why do you change every time we put Future on?" I said, for the reason that I just brought out, for that exact reason, because it changes my vibration. And
Yeah.
one thing that I don't mess around with, I do not fuck around when it comes to my vibration, because I'm a spiritual leader and I have to have the highest vibration. You
Yeah.
are not about to bring me down to that low debauchery and that low syncery of frequency, because that changes my whole aura. Like, I literally told them he's banned. Don't put that. The moment that I hear them trying to play him, I turn my radio all the way down and I
Yeah.
switch it to where I can play only my music.
Right.
But it's also promoting violence onto women.
Yeah.
Especially Black women. Like it
Yeah.
promotes violence. Like you have your favorite, your rapper, your idol saying these things to you, normalizing violence against women.
Yeah. Calling girls bitches and stuff like that.
You're
Yeah.
normalizing it. So that's why we have
I never liked that.
we are in a culture where so many women are saying, protect us, protect Black women, protect Black women. And then you have those men who are like, why? Like, protect yourself. Like, and it's
Dana
like,
said, "Is
Yeah.
Future even human?"
Now, they think like they really want the woman to do everything. I don't know.
and I'm at the point where I'm just like, straight Black men are collectively
Lazy.
Uh-oh.
they're collectively failing at protecting us.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
And they're letting the idea of hypermasculinity control what a man is supposed to be. Like if you think about it, hypermasculinity is a product of patriarchy and white supremacy. So which those things are not native to Black people
At
Right.
all.
So we're taking on these characteristics that are literally killing us. They have men killing women because of their hyper masculinity, causing insecurities, causing them to have no self-control, throwing tantrums because women say no.
Yeah. Right. Oh my gosh.
And I've realized the only group of people who are actually out here that they hear what Black women are saying, who are improving themselves, and they are stepping up to the plate to protect Black women, are Black LGBT men.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what's sad. Yeah, that's true.
Man.
They
Y'all bringing the conversation tonight, aren't y'all?
they are like, and I've realized that, and they are like collectively are dismantling hyper masculinity and patriarchy, and have how do I say this? They are dismantling the patriarchy that's been let into our community, and they're becoming the men in our community that we've been begging straight Black men to be. They don't see us as something to dominate. They don't see us as something that they have to control. They see us as people. They see
Yeah.
us as human beings. They see us as their equals. So if you say, like, why is there a conversation about you, Black men protect Black women, and they hit you with rebuttals? Why are you rebutting that?
Yeah, if they have a defense to that statement, that's
your answer should be how. How would you like us to help you? Because if you're telling me you want to be a leader, you need to take your place as a Black man.
Come on now.
Take your place.
Come on now. And stop looking at me as the opponent. I'm not your sparring partner. And then got the nerve to get mad when Black women move to a European, okay, man. And then that European man put that Black woman on a pedestal and is willing to add her on his bank account before they're even married, and to give her a credit card and give her a limit. I'm not saying that I need that, but I'm just saying that if you're going to be in my life, okay, if I'm going to either do this by myself, I'm going to do it by myself. But if you're going to be in my life, at least add instead of subtracting.
I don't know if the way that white men were raised, but I feel like they were taught to take care of the women in their lives. Yes. And it's almost like where have the Black, what are we missing? Black men, what are we missing?
Exactly, because my
Black men want to be taken care of by women now.
Yes,
that's what's going on.
That's exactly right.
How can this woman do this for me, or can I get something out of them? Not like love, but what does this woman gonna do for me? I mean, it's okay to have that mentality, but you really still trying to love that person. But no, they really just okay, I'll love you if you show me what you can do for me first. It's like
crazy.
And stop trying to figure out what the fuck I'm bringing to the table, and you bring the goddamn table and see what the fuck I put on it.
Yes. I was just saying this. The white men out here, they're finding ways to go to space. They're finding new technologies. While the white man is doing this, what is y'all doing? Y'all asking women what y'all bring to the table. Y'all out here, we're telling y'all to step y'all game up, and y'all got podcasts instead.
That's what's happening though, and it's just the facts. All the men today have that mentality. Not all. I'm sorry. I've seen some that aren't. But
there's individuals who are doing what they're supposed to, but as a collective,
majority
as a whole,
is
we are failing. We are being failed every day. We on February, there have been over 100 Black women who have been murdered by her counterparts just in this year. What are we doing?
Yeah,
women need to be independent in ways and stuff, but just the way how
it's really gotten kind of difficult, I would say, as being a single woman, to really date now, you guys.
It's very difficult.
It is so difficult because first of all, I don't have any of these dating apps, and I don't want to meet my men that way. And I work so much and I'm busy. So the only access that I have to really meeting someone is social media. But by the time, 50 million women then flooded their inbox, now I find myself on a campaign. Like I'm campaigning for this person or that person. And it's like, fuck that. I want it to happen the old fashioned way where we just meet.
Hey, or can I take you on a date? Now it's like, what can you do for me?
Exactly.
How much money you giving me?
How fast are you giving up the punani?
Yeah, that too. That's really one thing.
Relationships in this country, in the West, is vastly different from relationships in the West. Like in Korea, in Japan, I've noticed that the way they do their relationships, they think of what can I do to make that person's life better.
And that's how it should be here.
But in here, we think about what can they do to make my life better. It's all about what I can get out of you
and women
how much of it I can get.
There's women looking for men to, just like gold diggers, basically.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's not okay. It's not.
I have a friend who is currently going through this situation. Like he found himself. And I spend a lot of time talking about it may seem like I'm bashing men, but I love y'all so much. I love Black men so much. So I say what I have to say so that you could take accountability for your behavior, because we want you. We want you so much. If we did not want anything to do with you, we'll just go find somebody else.
Exactly. We wouldn't even be talking about it.
We
It wouldn't even
wouldn't
be a
even talk
subject
about
It's
you.
matter.
We
we're
wouldn't worry about it.
trying to
But we
wake y'all
love
back
you
up.
so much. We love
We're
you
not
so
like
much.
we're gonna wake y'all up, yo.
But
Exactly.
I've realized, like,
Exactly.
I've come to a realization. It's like you,
Yeah.
man. I lost my train of thought. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, Dana said this is the reason why, some women go to the same sex relationship
Yeah, that's how that happens.
because men are not taking out the time to study and to learn their partners because they feel like they don't have to anymore.
Yeah, it's like it's just what they say, and when a woman's trying to say something, it's just not like really acceptable. So
Because they're listening to their head alpha males telling them, oh, well, if you're going to get a woman with a used vagina and multiple children, at least she could be obedient to you. At least she could do this to you, for this for you. At least she could do that for you. So they've taken these advices from these non-conditional having ass
yeah, guys with
people,
terrible podcasts that they
Mhm.
listen to and
and
actually
they
support
take
that
that
information.
home and they abuse their women with that. Like, are you kidding? Like, it literally makes no sense. Having We have so much access to each other in this world because of technology and social media. We have too much access to each other. So men feel like, oh my God, the supply is huge. The buffet is vast.
They
I
look
should
Mhm.
have
at
access
certain
to every and as much as possible. But you cannot do that. First of all, I'm gonna
First of
keep
all,
it
that's
saying
only
this.
a man that don't know his freaking worth and don't know his freaking salt. If you think that all these women that are coming after you are of good quality, then something is wrong with you as a quality man.
Talking
right.
about some,
Seriously.
oh, women lose their value based on the if she has so many bodies that she loses her value. But understand, sir,
Mm,
my value have been diminished the moment I had encounters with you, which
mm.
means you are the cause of lowering my value. That means you are insulting yourself. If you were smart, you would realize that you're just telling everybody that you ain't shit.
Exactly. And most of these men, they can't even go there when it comes to body count because they supersede us by a long
That's
shot.
what I'm saying. But they can't get the whole thing of being called a slut or a whore. But a woman can if they sleep with more than 3 people.
Exactly.
That
Oh, I'm a man. That's
we,
what I'm like. My ex literally told me that I'm a
Yeah,
man. You're just gonna have
it's
to be
our
okay
nature.
with me having sex with multiple women. And it's just like,
Hmm.
you're the whore. You're easy.
Hmm.
You're spreading yourself thin. If a woman looks at you
Hmm.
and you ready to give it away, you the
Hmm.
yes,
one who don't have
that's
any value.
And stop thinking that all these women that's in your inbox are good quality women. Because a woman that's of good quality is not gonna be having to inbox you. You gonna be wanting to inbox her. Remember, a
right,
man that finds a wife finds a good thing. That means you have to seek her out, not her seeking you out. You
right.
And it'd
gotta
be the
question
same
yourself.
men.
Why are they seeking you out?
It'd be the same men that want to tell you, oh, you need to be better at picking the kind of dudes that you let into your life. But y'all sleep with everybody who give you a look.
Yeah,
Y'all
Mhm.
yeah.
sleep with anybody who will give you the time of day.
Mhm.
So are
Anything
you
that's not nailed
picking?
down.
Are you
Anybody?
good at picking? Because y'all hold us accountable for being with
Mhm.
abusive men. Are you holding
Mhm.
yourself accountable for sleeping with every woman that comes your way?
Mm.
Or
Come
sleeping
on
with slut
now.
that or what? You know.
I and
Or,
I
Mhm.
spend a lot of time talking about men in their terrible ways, but women could be the exact same way.
that's what I. Yeah, I was saying that.
Women
Like,
could be the same. And I
yeah,
have a friend who
Yeah.
is going through this situation right now, and it's really devastating to see a man go through. I was just like, wow, women ain't shit too.
yeah.
Mhm.
Women
Mhm.
have left their babies with the men and stuff too. It's not just the
Yeah.
men. You
She's
know.
Yeah.
like,
That's right.
it's a situation. You have a man who's taking a woman who, when he met, was already pregnant, and he stayed with her through this pregnancy with another man's baby. He stuck with her through the pregnancy, through the birth of the baby, sticking with her, taking care of that child to the point that child only knows him as a father.
As a father figure. Yeah.
Mhm.
That he
Mhm.
eventually gets her pregnant. He puts a ring on her finger, does everything for her, carried her while she was going through nursing school, stuck by her side through all of it, no matter how many red flags was in that. And then she has the audacity to say you're not doing enough.
Oh, Jesus Lord.
Yeah, there
She
are
needs
women.
her head examined. Seriously. It's rare to find a man like that.
Wait,
It is super rare. He took you pregnant with
yes,
somebody else's baby, and he
right.
still put a ring on your finger because he valued you and he saw the potential of you and he respected you and stuck by you. And then you have the she called him bare minimum Bob to her friends.
Oh my God.
I think he did the maximum.
For real.
What she
A
talking?
lot of men would not stick by.
I think he broke the max button and and
Yeah,
and and that's that on that one.
Men would
I'm with
escape. Men would abort mission the moment things get a little bit inconvenient for him. Oh, I
yes.
can't do it no more. He stuck
yeah.
by it
He
through
stuck,
everything
and that's
before
what
they
you
were.
want a man to do. So when he does that, and she didn't appreciate it.
No,
Mind
and
you,
then
the
that's how we women get a bad rap. That's how, we get the flack of what the other person did to him.
Right, and then they use that and carry that on for years to
Whew.
potentially cut off, like the video you shared the other last night.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it will dismiss someone with a really good heart or not treat them
Yeah.
fully or give their all because of what a woman did to them in the past. So
Yeah.
because they're still damaged and not healed from it, they don't realize it. And they live in
Mm-mm.
this beast mode of, oh, fuck women, blah, blah, blah. Excuse my language.
It's
They
okay.
somebody who actually may be the one, or
Yeah.
somebody that would do so much for them, something beautiful. They will destroy it before they could even see it because
that's
of
a good reason to not
and
get into
want to carry
relationships.
that and not heal themselves from it or move above it, like be, you know what I'm saying? They don't
Yeah.
have, they don't know how to heal themselves from it, so they stay being that person that did them wrong. They've become that person and given that person power, is what I call it.
Yep.
Because if you weren't like that before, you're still giving that person power by being this way, the way they treated you, by using that to say, well, I know because of what I went through, I'm just not going to ever try again to be a good person. So now
Yeah.
you become evil
So
that you up.
exactly.
And that's not okay. Like, okay, higher vibration. How do you move above that and not be what your abuser?
Mhm.
And they don't get that. And man, and when I try to get this across so many ways,
Don't
it
don't
just,
make don't make me feel like it has to be a privilege for you to give me the
yeah,
bare minimum.
yeah, no,
Cuz
because
we don't
I'm
ask, we as women don't ask for
you
much.
need my light. Don't tell me what she did is dismissing me.
Exactly.
Like I never can get with that. It's like, yo, I was able to heal. I've been through some stuff, and I still
Me
love you
too.
and doing all this. And you mean to tell me you haven't been able to heal from yours? If I can do it, I'm gonna help you do it too. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it's just until they're able to do it, they're never gonna be a woman correctly until
Well,
they
I
can.
I
Mm-mm.
my fault, my fault. I just want to say something,
Sorry, go
right?
ahead.
Go ahead, Joe.
Like I feel what you're saying too, but
Mm-hmm.
real talk on both sides. Everyone got hurt and been
Yeah,
traumatized. You know,
everyone.
Mhm.
like
Mm-hmm.
as much as you say, like you got over it. Real talk, we're not over it because real talk, we just trying our best to prevent getting hurt again. At the end of the day, you'd be dumb not to like to
Yeah,
Put your
not
guard up.
hurt,
Just a
but
right.
little, just
I'm
a
not
tad bit.
a
Yeah.
love life.
Mm-hmm.
Not going to treat you how they treated me, kind of over it. Not like you're still damaged, but
Because
how can
because you know what you're saying. My phone not to cut you off because but
hmm
like it's just that unfortunately, like I'm just speaking from my experience. Like all
yeah,
Mhm.
these things that happen, like it's a repeated thing. Like it's not like
Mhm.
it's one like it's not like I've been with one girl
right.
and I've been and she
Same,
did
same,
something like she cheated on me and then I've been on with another girl. Like it's like the bad stuff that's been happening on my previous relationships is something that keeps happening. So it's like,
Mhm.
all right, well,
so it makes you
and
give
it happens in different ways.
it
So it's
makes you
like,
give
okay, well, something always bad happens. So like, on my next relationship, it's like I gotta be guard. I got keep a lookout for certain things. You
right.
know,
Mhm. I just think that it comes down to having emotional intelligence. We
Yep.
always
Yes.
talk about,
Mm-hmm.
having a high IQ, but what about your EQ? What about your emotional intelligence? Knowing that,
Yeah.
okay, I'm hurt, then maybe I shouldn't be dating until I get over this, at least till I get to a point to where I don't allow what
What?
happened to me to impact my current person that I want a relationship with.
Yeah, that's
You know,
basically
that's
what.
what I was saying. That's what I was saying to Lucy about that one time. But then Lucy brought up a good point, talking about like, you know, that's why at the beginning, everyone puts up an act to come
They
out as
do.
Mrs. or Mr. Perfect.
Yeah,
You
the
wouldn't know, you wouldn't see
representative.
any red flags at the beginning until way later in the relationship.
Shit, I always see red flags at the beginning in every
I do.
relationship.
I'm not gonna lie. I always see the red flag. It's
Me
my
too.
foolishness that tried to look past it
Me too.
because I
Hmm.
could tell when it's an act. I
Yeah.
always. I mean, I might. I don't know. Well, you know, you have a higher vibration with things. I do too. That I learned. So,
Yeah.
it's just certain people that can sense that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I definitely see the red flags from the moment I walk up to you. But
Me too.
And also
Me
say, and also
too.
say it's by experiences too. Like, you know, like especially like I'm speaking for me, like at this point in my life, like I
Mhm.
definitely can tell like the red flags, you know,
Yeah.
right,
compared to like when I was
Yeah.
like way younger and when I, you know, in my first
clear.
relationship.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We are constantly looking for love in other people, so we tend to overlook red flags because
Yeah,
it's like you're so used to the like barely the minimum. You're so
Mhm.
used to like being traumatized and not and being mistreated that anything that look like a potential relationship, we jump on it and see if we can
Mhm.
make it grow into something that we want without actually taking our time to be like, you know, we there's something off about this,
yeah.
Hmm.
but we
Mhm.
want to be
Instead of
loved
questioning.
so badly.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
think
I
we.
just want somebody to just finally love me because
Mhm.
we don't have that love in ourselves, especially if you from a place where you weren't properly loved by your parents. And
Mhm.
so you're constantly searching for that love.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
And you could spend your whole lifetime looking for that love and could never find it. And all you ever do is collect heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak.
Mhm.
So we don't get the time, spend the time to actually get to know ourselves and to recognize
Mhm.
certain characteristics that's not healthy for us. We were just like, well, I don't want to be alone. I don't want to
Mhm.
end up like my mom, single in her 50s. I don't want to end
Mhm.
up like this person. I have to be with someone.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But
So you
until
take
you
it the way
learn,
it is.
I'm sorry. I didn't
Go
mean to
ahead.
cut you, Lucy. Go ahead.
No, I was done. I was done.
Okay. Okay. Until you learn how to really sit with yourself and be alone, all you're going to do is just bleed on someone else because you really
Mhm.
don't know who you are. Like, how can you get into a relationship and expect something from someone else when you don't even know who you are yourself?
hmm
This is the reason why it's so important after a relationship to sit with yourself and to be alone so you can know yourself. And then once you come to know yourself, it's better for you to get into a relationship because now you are your complete and whole self.
right.
Now you know what you want and you know what you don't want. So the moment that you get into a relationship and you see those red flags, then you can say, this is not what I want. Do you
Yeah,
know how many heartbreaks can be prevented if we just took out the time to do that?
yeah, that
But
is true.
but instead we're serial dating.
Yeah, because
Mm.
searching, because it seems like every person I walk up to, there's red flag. So it's like, oh, okay, you know,
Yes.
And
I
I
see
have not.
flags with. Let me give this a try because it seems like a little less than that one. You know what I mean? Because
it
It's
it's
becomes an addiction.
it's hard to
yes.
fight it completely pure. It's it's
Some
it's
people are afraid to be single
Yep.
yeah,
because when you sit alone, especially
Mm,
you sit alone and the quiet, you are
hmm.
stuck with yourselves and people cannot deal with
They can't.
themselves.
They cannot.
Hmm.
They
They
can't do
cannot.
it. So they need
Hmm.
to feel the void, feel like the silence could be so loud
I
sometimes. So
swear.
they have to fill that up with people and noise and stuff because I can't sit with myself because I'm so broken
right.
and
And
I
I
don't have the strength to deal with it.
I've done that too. I went 3 years without dating, and
wow.
I haven't said nothing. It was
Wow.
2 years to myself, and I did that. All I did was raise my child, and it was just me. A lot of soul searching, a lot of healing, because I
That's
went through a
beautiful.
lot of traumatic stuff before that. So it can be done, because I went 3 years, and not even just, oh, I want to go have sex with someone. I didn't do that either. I did nothing for 3 years.
Mm-hmm. I
So
believe you.
It's really hard. Like for people like
Mm-hmm.
me who I'm in my I'm 32 now, and I don't have any children. I've never been married. I've never had a relationship that was lasted longer than 2 years. And then it just gets to the point where it's just like, where are you going with your life? Because you have nothing to show for, especially if you live in like, well, I grew up in a Caribbean culture. So at a certain point, you must already have your family. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like looking at myself like I don't have any of that. So that
Mm-hmm.
means I don't have any value because I haven't contributed anything like that. I haven't brought any of that into fruition. So it's like, what do I have to offer? I don't have any children. I don't even have a man. So it's like, what you got going on with yourself?
Mm. You have a lot.
say that.
And you
You
don't
have
see
so
that.
much.
It's like, okay, well,
You have to
you got a degree, okay,
work.
well, your degree can't keep you warm at night, type of like that's the
Yeah.
conversations you hear.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it
That's
can.
true.
I
So you
went through.
end up being a serial dater because you're trying to find that mate that you're supposed to have. You're constantly trying to
Mm-hmm.
find that mate. But if you look back and look at everybody else, all of y'all are in toxic relationships. All of
Exactly.
y'all are being abused with multiple
Every time I look
children.
around, somebody's in a tough relationship. I have not seen a pure relationship yet.
You
Yeah,
have a
me
bunch of
neither.
single married people.
Yeah. And you know what, you guys, for the very first time for even me, this is like I can tell how I have evolved spiritually. This is the longest I ever went without a relationship, and it's been 8 months. No, I take that lie back. It was a year and a half, my first time that I divorced my first husband. I was single for a year and a half, but I'm saying since then, okay, because we were married for 22 and a half years. And then
Mhm.
after that, 6 months later, after my divorce, I was engaged and in another relationship with my second husband, and then we married 10 months later. So this is the longest in a while that I've been by myself. And you guys, it's just been beautiful for me.
Right.
It's been really beautiful because now, like, I sit with my emotions, like, some things creep up from the past. I'm like, damn, I didn't know I was still hurt by that. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really sitting with my ugly. And you're right. Most people cannot handle that. They need someone else to help them to bear the pain.
Yep. And I know it was difficult to me because I'm I love having, sex or whatever. I love that.
Mhm.
That is one
Me
of my
too.
absolute favorite things. So when I was able to go
Mhm.
3 years without it, without any dating or whatever, I know it's possible. But it was something I needed. So I did,
Mhm.
you know.
I
Yes.
personally, I love love. I love falling in love. I love the feeling of it. I love like the, creating the future life of the person that you're in love with. Like it's just a euphoric feeling
Yeah.
that,
Mhm.
because I've always wanted to have a family of my own. I want to create something that I never got. So I am in love with the concept of being in a relationship and being in love with somebody and having your person. I love that concept.
Right.
But in
Mhm.
living in that, you just end up inviting you invite monsters into your life without knowing.
Yeah.
Mhm. You
And
can.
they destroy your life, and then you're just like, I thought I was doing all the right things. I
Mhm.
thought I was being the woman I was supposed to be. Especially, I like to think of myself as a traditional type of woman and doing things the way that a woman should and whatever. And it's just like, I get to a point, it's just like, I feel worthless because I can't even
Mhm.
do this right,
Right.
Right.
because
You feel
he
like you
either
can't
cheats on
measure up.
me, he cheats on me or leaves me. So I
Mhm.
can't even do that right.
Mhm.
So I feel like I can't do anything right. I can't even keep a man. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. And it make you feel like that. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. And that's the reason why it's so important for us to continue to keep ascending and keep rising, because as we raise our vibration, our quality of men that we attract is going to be so much better than those that we attracted before we were fully awakened.
Hmm.
I tell people all the time when they get stuck on one person, listen. The reason why you are stuck on this person is because there is a lesson that you need to learn. And most of the time, I find that it's about our own self-worth. It's not even about that person at all, but it's about us loving us and seeing our worth, right? Then when we love on ourselves, dote on ourselves, and give us the love that we are seeking from another, and we find that we can give it to ourselves, that is when you will vibrate at that vibrational frequency that you automatically pull that person in without even looking.
Right.
And then you find that that person that you were pining away for and pining after, you don't even know what you have in common with that person and why you even liked them in the first place.
Yeah.
You were in love with the concept of them, but not who they actually were.
Exactly.
Definitely say that.
And that's the way it should be. And that's how you get over heartbreak. You work on you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all right, we're gonna have to wrap this up because I am like at a low percent on my battery, and Lord forbids that it dies while we're broadcasting.
Right.
Yes, but thank you, guest speakers.
It's very nice.
I loved it too. I always love when I'm with you guys. It's amazing. We can go on for like Mooney Long hours.
Right.
For real. But thank you, the audience that has held on as long as we have. We appreciate all that have chimed in, all your contributions, all of your comments. Sorry if I didn't get a chance to acknowledge everyone that have commented with a response. So this is your response. All right. Thank you so much. All right. Namaste.
All right. See you guys.